Hello, so I thought I'd give you my first impressions of the second Hardline Beta. While there are some good points with Hardline, there are an equal number of bad points, and most of these bad points seem to be worse than they are in Battlefield 4. Now with the problems of Battlefield 4, what they really had to get right was the netcode, and in this beta they haven't. There have been quite a few kills in cover, quite a few kill trades. It just seems to be a step backwards from what we currently have in Battlefield 4. Now this is only a beta and we're not sure what the server setup is, but at the moment the netcode isn't as good as the current generation of Battlefield 4's netcode. Something that really surprised me in the options is that the network smoothing factor is set by default to 50%. That's pretty high. The problems with the netcode only seem to work one way. I've not had a situation where I've shot somebody and they've died when they've been in cover. But I have had the situation where I've been shot, I've moved through a doorway and then died a second later. So it seems to be that the client and servers are a bit out of balance, but only working in one way. Not sure how that happens, but that's what it looks like when you play the game. We know from Battlefield 4 that the netcode should perform better than this, so hopefully it's just a beta issue. Let's move on to the gameplay itself, because there's quite a lot of things that need looking at. So let's start off with the classes. Two of the classes, the mechanic and the professional, are both great straight out of the box. They've got a weapon which is designed for their class that works well, and they've also got a gadget that works well with that class too. But sadly it's not the same story for the other two classes. So let's start with the Enforcer, which is probably the worst class in the game. You get a shotgun and you get an ammo bag. That's it. That is your role. Wow. I can shoot people close range with a shotgun and I can drop an ammo bag. But if the map's got any range to it, well, what are you going to do as an Enforcer? The Operative is equally bare at the start. It's got a carbine, but it's awful. The RO933 kicks like a mule and has almost no accuracy. On the close range maps it's not much of a problem, but on the longer range maps you can't even burst fire the thing accurately. Then we get onto gadgets, and the Operative again has a pretty lousy choice. You've got the gas mask, grappling hook and zip line that everybody else has got, but your only class specific gadgets are a defib and a survivalist. So the only role the Operative has is a healer. Compare that to the mechanic, which can get a repair tool, the satellite phone which is a spawn beacon. They've got the sabotage charges, they've got an armoured vest, and then they also have the gas mask, the grappling hook and the zip line. So they've got multiple options. The Operative really hasn't. Now the Enforcer at least has the option later on to buy things. So you can buy the battle rifles, you can get the ballistic shield, you can get C4, but those are all things that you've got to grind out through money. The other problem with both of these classes is that their role has been slightly diluted by having ammo pickups, first aid pickups and defibrillator pickups in the game anyway. So the Operative and the Enforcer both need some work in terms of their weapons and their gadgets. Right, so let's have a look at the game modes. So what have we got? We've got Hotwire, we've got Heist and we've got Conquest. Now Conquest is Conquest. It's a good mode, it's always going to be a good mode, and it's a staple of Battlefield. Heist I'm really enjoying. Heist is pretty much a mix of rush and obliteration, and it plays really well. It's good fast rounds, there's lots of fast paced movement, and I really like it. It's good fun. In fact at the moment I think it's better than both rush and obliteration. The mode I really don't like is Hotwire. Now, Hotwire is great if you're on foot trying to take out vehicles. The mechanic's grenade launcher is really good at killing normal cars. But my big problem with this mode is the driving. It's not that the driving mechanics are bad, it's that the driving is boring. You just have to drive round and round in circles as fast as you can to keep the capture point. Maybe it needs something like checkpoints that you've got to get the cars to. The game mode's about recovering or stealing cars, so why do you just drive them round and round until they blow up? Perhaps there should be somewhere you've got to park the cars to actually capture them. And maybe there should be a way of being slightly more offensive when you're driving the cars other than just road kills. But my biggest problem with Hotwire is it seems to be a game mode designed for one class, the mechanic. Every other class is really just hanging around in that game mode. The mechanic can repair the vehicles. The mechanic can destroy vehicles with a grenade launcher. There's no real advantage to playing one of the other classes. Sure, any class can be the driver, but you're better being the driver as the mechanic because you can always leap out and repair your vehicle. Now it's true, the professional can upgrade to Magnum rounds and the enforcer can get C4. But those are both things you've got to buy. A game mode should be good with just the basic setup, and unfortunately Hotwire isn't. Right, let's get onto the maps. All three maps are pretty good. Bank Job is a really good close range urban map. Downtown, as we saw in the first beta, is a pretty good urban mid-range map as well. Dust Bowl is actually a good map. It's got some nice sniping lanes, it's got some interesting ways of moving around, and it's a good map for using the vehicles well. Dust Bowl's big problem is that dust storm, which isn't a dust storm, everything just goes blurry. And this is a surprising problem with Hardline, the graphics. The gun models just don't look as good as they do in Battlefield 4. The optics really don't look good. Most of them aren't even circles, they're just circular shapes made up of straight lines. Now Battlefield 4 has really good gun models, but in Hardline they look like plastic airsoft weapons. They're almost two-dimensional. I have the field of view set at 90, maybe that's what's making the gun look skinny and the sight slightly oval. The maps themselves look really nice. They're well modelled, they've got a lot of detail, but it's just the things that they've laid on top of them that are a bit hit and miss. Flame effects. The flame effects look really good, but why are the flame effects for a friendly incendiary a different colour to an enemy incendiary? I was expecting the graphics to be a step up from Battlefield 4, not a step back. Now I know it sounds like I'm really slamming Hardline, but I'm not. The thing is that when you play Hardline, all the bits that you come to expect from Battlefield 4 you don't really notice. It's only when something is worse than Battlefield 4 that you really notice it. So those are the things you're going to highlight, the bits that don't quite meet expectations. But despite these points, I am actually having fun playing Hardline. I think it's a good game, I just think they need to look at some of the details. But this is only my first impressions of the lower levels of Hardline. Who knows what my thoughts are going to be when I've progressed a bit further through it. But for now my thoughts are, it needs a bit of work. Thanks for watching.